Welcome back to the Thursday edition of Running Point, live on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig, joined by Ty Bartell. And on the show today, Brandon Hanna, head coach of the Jefferson Falcon football team. Coach, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You bet. We've been wanting to have you for a while. You've brought some rejuvenation to this Jefferson football program, 3-0 on the year, 3 wins all season last year. What kind of has gone into this great start that you guys are on and the rejuvenation of the program?
Sure. Well, I mean, I got to give credit to to Ed Rankin, was the head coach here for the past few years. A great mentor of mine, great friend of mine. Pretty much like a big brother to me. So, I think he was doing a great job of, doing, I think the most important part of, what we're continuing right now is just developing the relationship with these kids. So definitely credit to him. But, this year's been special so far. From the moment, I got hired, these kids have, they've bought in to a new head coach. We wanted to change a lot of things. We didn't want to, we wanted a new look, a new image, a new identity. And, everything we do, we try to do a little different and, create our own new Jefferson football. But it's just a great group of kids. We've had great support from administration. And, man, I'm just blessed to be sitting in this chair and, being in the position I'm in.
Talk about wanting to change that culture there, Coach, and you talk about wanting that new image, that new Jefferson. So tell me a little bit about when teams do see that Jefferson logo coming their way and when they do see that they have to play the Falcons, what do you want them to immediately think when they have Jefferson on the docket?
Sure. I guess, for the kids' sake, the biggest thing is just, we talk about respect a lot. We love each other in our locker room, have a great relationship with the kids and coaches, but outside of this place, nobody really knows what's going on, in there. And it's not something we tend to talk about. Respect is something that's earned. So I understand when you hear when it's a surprise to a lot of people that we're able to compete now and we have a few wins on the record. I understand it's early in the season, a lot of season left, a lot of life left for sure. But, I think, when you see us, we're just trying to earn respect right now. The history's not so great here, but we don't talk a lot about that either. We show up. I think we're a very focused team. From Monday through Friday, until the clock says 0.00, and it's just like I said, it's a hard-working, focused group of kids.
We got to recap last week's win over Edgewood. I know it's a big win for the program, big rivalry win, and it stamped a 3-0 mark in non-conference play. Just kind of now that you've had time to take in the film and really see what your guys did so well, what do you think were some of the keys to that victory over Edgewood?
I think the preparation. A lot goes into it, obviously. Like everywhere else, but it was big for the kids. Here we're in Ashtabula County, so when you play a county school who has, the all-time leading passer, at quarterback, and you play a kid who, everyone, talks about being the best receiver in the county, and you play a big 55 they had was, arguably the best lineman in this county as well. We learn to get excited about those kind of things. And, our kids right now, they're out to prove something. So there's a lot of talk and, we have a little 4-4 and Gold talk show here. And, the kids, they hear it, they see it. And I just like that there's a certain swagger about our kids right now. And, they rose to the occasion and they were excited to, they were out to prove the work that they've put in should put their name up there with the rest of these, these big time players.
Talked about it a little bit too in our preview of your game this week, Coach. We know Danny Bruckman, losing him from last season was obviously hard as he was a huge effective player, as We know over 1,400 yards rushing. But what we've seen now from Grant Hitchcock, it seems like he has taken a huge step forward in his development and his progression. Talk to me about what you've seen in Grant and just from what you saw last year from an offensive coordinator to this year as a head coach.
Sure. That's a great question there. I think the big thing was this offseason. The goal was to get the kid to, he's obviously got athletic abilities on his feet. When I met him last year, his arm was so unorthodox, and we were actually in a quarterback competition with him and another gentleman, Tim Kinkoff, who's actually no longer able to play due to health issues. But I think the rest of the coaches thought I was probably crazy last year when I said, Grant's going to be the guy because, like I said, he couldn't throw. So luckily, I've been blessed to play the quarterback position for a few years now. So we spent a lot of time in the off season working on, his mechanics from the ground up, not necessarily his throwing motion, but, getting his base together, how to drop back, how to sit in the pocket. And last year I kind of kept the cuffs on him a little bit, until later in the season. I tried not to run him as much to keep him healthy and to keep him to, help him to learn the understanding of how to play the game within the tackles. And, and it's, I guess, and there was another thing that I just kind of tried and sent him off to one of my buddies from college, who's a great receiver coach, goes by the name of Glenn Campbell. And I wanted him to really understand the wide receiver position, and the releases and the timing and everything that goes into route running so that, to me, it just gives you a better understanding of who you're throwing the ball to and how to get the ball to him.
It is amazing that you say how much work mechanically he's put in because, with the first 3 games you watch film, the one thing you can say about him is accuracy has been on the money. I mean, Ty did his game last week. He put some dimes on in that Edgewood game. It's proof it doesn't go without work. I mean, he's obviously put the work in to build up his accuracy.
Yeah, for sure. He, we have like a daily challenge, him and I, and he's probably passed me up now, but if not, he's right on my heels, and he's keeping me young, and it's fun. A lot of fun at practice, just, a lot of target practice. But like I said, I think that position it's definitely a mental position, but a lot of guys think it's in here. But to me, the better my feet got and my mind was to understand the game, the better, this just kind of comes natural. So I'm just proud of the kid.
Let's just shine a light on your lines right now, because I think in the trenches is another place where you guys have shown a lot of steps forward this year. And these guys don't get a lot of credit. They do all the dirty work.
Sure.
They keep your quarterbacks clean. And then they make the other quarterback dirty. Talk about your lines and what kind of strides they have made this year from last year.
Sure. I mean, you got to think we have, 3 of them returning from last year with a 1,400-yard rusher from last year. The line was predominantly in the sophomore class. So those guys are back. But Mason Pulowski, got to give him credit, man. He's our leader up front. He's our center, but the kid could play guard. He could play tackle. He goes on the D-line, had a big sack last week for us in the Edgewood game. Kid kind of does it all, but it's a lot of stuff he does, off the tape that's made him special, to me and to this program, just with his leadership. If another guy's, off on a Tuesday, he's the first one to go pick him up and go rally him and get them together and get on them. So, between him, our left guard, Sam Disher, one of our bigger kids, and then our left tackle, man, he's wiry. He's not too thick over there, but the kid's a fighter. I think, he's a wrestler, and that kind of comes out in the trenches. And those guys just battle. Like you said, they don't get a lot of credibility. But we didn't run for 1,400 yards last year on accident. Danny, got to give Danny his credit for sure. But he was running behind some guys that were willing to fight and learn on the fly. And this year, those guys are back. They're hungry. Again, and we had a lot of 7-on-7s this year in our area. And obviously those guys don't get a lot of love and a lot of credit in those things. So I think they're just hungry. It's just a hungry group of guys that are just trying to make a name for themselves and for this program.
Talk to me a little bit, Coach, about your defense. I mean, 3 straight games. I mean, you've held opponents under 20 in each of those 3 games. I mean, the defense is playing out of their minds right now. And a lot of these are two-way players. So talk to me about how important you're preaching to these players that are playing on offense, how important defense is, and kind of go through why this defense has improved so much from what we've seen in Jefferson Falcons teams of the past.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing this year, and it's funny because last year was my first year as an offensive coordinator. It was my first year coaching high school football, period. Actually coaching football at all. I've always just done work behind the scenes and just loved on kids from, when the cameras run around. But, this year, going in, I spoke to a few mentors about, who to hire and how to hire this defense coordinator position. And, it's one of my buddies from college who, again, came in like me last year, 0 experience, but just had a heart for kids and, has a love for the game. And so he's been doing, his name's Melvin Leaf. He's been doing a phenomenal job. I think the biggest difference this year is, one, getting guys in the right position, getting our athletes on the field. But obviously with that, being a smaller program and light, a light sideline is how important your off-season training is, not just lifting weights, but the cardio, the conditioning, the stretching, everything that comes into that. So these guys are durable, and able to do this for 10 weeks. So I think we're showing so far we've done a pretty good job with our off-season program. But the biggest thing on the field is the willingness to adjust. Egos are out of the way. They're out the window. They don't exist here. And like I said, with a young D coordinator, he's just, the guy's not afraid of the moment. And if something's not working, we don't have to wait till halftime and wait till later in the season to fix it. Let's make a change right now. And we better have practiced it during the week, obviously. But it's been a great journey, a great experience so far. Got to give credit to that guy, though.
I want to get a chance for you to let preview this Girard game and the first step in the NE8, a very tough NE8 for you guys, and what you expect from the Indians. Without giving away the farm, what some of the game plans are, and maybe some keys to victory for you guys.
Man, those got to give credit to this Girard team. Obviously, a well-coached team, well-established program, well-established staff. Those guys look just as good as they did, if not better than they did on last year's tape. That is a team I got to see last year here at our place. But, obviously they look good. They got some big guys up front. They got some good skill guys. Quarterback looks solid. They're running the ball. They're very balanced. And then they switch things up a little bit on defense. So give credit where it's due. Those guys look good. But we're excited. We're excited for the challenge. Right now, our 3-0 record goes out the window. The goal is to go 1-0 this week. Some of the keys I think, it takes in order to get that done is, controlling the ball, making sure, we're smart with the football, limit our turnovers. And I think this will be a big week. We're going to have to respond. I think, Girard's, like I said, well coached. They're going to do some good things offensively. And I'm excited to see how we respond to that. If they put a quick one on us, can we come back down and return the favor? And then, how do we play when our back's against the wall? But the thing is, our off season, I feel like has kind of built us to be ready for these moments, to prepare for a Girard, prepare for a Poland, prepare for a South Range, and the rest of those tough guys. We threw Mooney on the schedule back in August. They came up. We played a well-established Perry. Just had a running back go to West Virginia last year. And we've been all around the place to do 7-on-7s, whatever we could do to compete. We had to teach these guys how to win, how to compete, how to respond. So I'm actually very excited to go jump on the road for the first NE8 game and really get a test to see where we're at. I think these kids are excited as well. This entire school, teachers, my bosses, everyone's ready to go. So it should be a good one.
Talk about jumping on the road again. I mean, we know it's your third road game in 4 games, but this last week 3, was actually the home opener. Talk to me a little bit about what it was like being able to coach in front of a capacity crowd yet again, too. And that was your first time as a head coach, first time actually coaching the Falcons with a capacity crowd on hand. Talk to me about the community involvement and how much that is going to mean to this team going forward.
Oh, man, I keep saying this in probably every interview and article I'm in, but God doesn't say oops, man. And this thing was intentional. God was intentional about this specific moment with this specific setup. And I just couldn't be more blessed, man. I mean, I'm hearing it might have been the biggest crowd we may have ever had or had in a long time. And those guys were ready to go, from the old ladies, the old gentlemen, to the kids, kids I see in the hallway, kids I've never seen before. I think we even had a few Edgewood kids over on our side that I've coached when they were younger, and just kind of rooting for us. It was just an amazing environment, amazing atmosphere. And again, I was happy with, our kids not being distracted by it, but instead allowing it to, give us a little bit of an edge, a little bit of an advantage. And that was a game where Edgewood came right down the field and punched it in, and it got quiet there for a few minutes. And again, we responded, and once we responded, the crowd kind of carried us through the rest of the way, and that was man. I told the guys I still feel like I'm living in a dream, man. I'm waiting to wake up. Was very exciting, and we're looking forward to obviously this week, but really can't wait for that homecoming game next week as well.
Man, that's impressive to get some Edgewood fans to come over and root for you guys. Tip of the hat to that. Coach, thank you so much for joining us today. We definitely appreciate the time and the busy schedule, that football brings. And we look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for the coverage, guys. Appreciate you guys having us on.
All right, that was Brandon Hanna, head coach of the Jefferson Falcons football team, joining us on the Running Point.